Los Angeles County is going to enact one of the strictest vaccine mandates in the nation, and Southwest Airlines has to cancel thousands of flights over the weekend for an unknown reason. That and more tonight on Pep Talk. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pep Talk. So this week we only have, again, 2 stories, and it's kind of midterms week, so I've kind of been pressured to, do school-related activities, so that's why it's kind of a lighter week this week and kind of a lighter couple past weeks. But after this week and after next week, we're going to get back into the groove of things and have a lot of new things coming along and a lot of interesting stories. But for now, let's just get to what's currently in the news. So Los Angeles is to enact one of the strictest vaccine mandates in the entire nation. According to AP News, quote, Los Angeles leaders on Wednesday approved one of the nation's strictest vaccine mandates, a sweeping measure that requires the shots for everyone entering bars, restaurants, nail salons, gyms, or even a Lakers game. So there's really not much else to say about this other than I've kind of predicted this to happen. It's happened in places like San Francisco already, and I believe in New York City, and it's at this point should be an indication of what I've been saying to be true. That originally it was not vaccine mandates, but before that they had required masking mandates, right? That was the initial that was the ground barrier. Now they're elevating that. It's like, okay, mask mandates are not enough. Now, if you want to go get a burger down the street, you're going to need to be not only masked, but you need to be vaccinated. So they're elevating the level to which you have to comply with government standards in order to simply live life. And that's kind of what I was arguing in my past few videos, especially the one regarding why mask mandates don't make sense. So I think my main point here is that this is a clear indication of what LA, along with all these other cities, are trying to do. They're simply trying to seize power. And it is not at all, in my opinion, about public health. And the reason I say that is because if you have the vaccine, then you are effectively should be not worried about getting the virus at all, because they are 80 to 90% effective in reducing hospitalization rates. Meaning that if you are vaccinated, then if you were to somehow contract COVID-19, which is extremely unlikely, then the most you would probably suffer is a day or two of cold or flu symptoms. That's it. It is 80 to 90% effective in reducing your hospitalization rate, which is incredible. So if we know this, then why would these vaccine mandates make sense? They wouldn't, right? Because if you have the vaccine, then you should not be worried about someone else having it or not, because it doesn't matter if the other person that you're close to has it or not, because as long as you have it, you are protected. And if that person that you're with has not gotten the vaccine and they are not protected, that's on them. They can get sick, sure, but you can't. And it doesn't make sense to mandate that you should get the vaccine, because who is the government to tell you that you need to get this specific vaccine? It doesn't make sense. If you don't want the vaccine, then you don't get it and you suffer the consequences. It's that simple. And it's insane that the people that are implementing these mandates are people mainly afraid of getting sick. And the people that are mainly afraid of getting sick are not the unvaccinated, but the vaccinated, which, as I just said, doesn't make any sense regarding the statistics on hospitalization rates going down with the vaccinated people and how effective the vaccines are. So that is why it is of my opinion that these mask mandates, that these vaccine mandates are all much more about getting power rather than it is helping people stay safe, because they simply really aren't doing that. Now, that's really all I have to say about that. If you want to learn more, I'll talk about it probably in the future, because I'm sure this is not the end of these sorts of things, especially when it comes to politicians and their need for power. But with that being said, I'd like to go ahead and quickly move on to our next story, because I don't want to prolong this. The next thing I want to talk about is Southwest Airlines, and they're having to cancel tons of flights over the past weekend. And it was probably because it was their workers being required to be vaccinated under Biden's new mandate. So if you didn't know, President Biden had mandated that all employees need to be vaccinated. If an employer has more than 100, I believe, 100 or 1,000, something like that, employees within their business, then those employees all need to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. And that went into effect and on Friday, one of the unions for Southwest Airlines argued that was unconstitutional. These workers did not want to be forced to be vaccinated, and it's very coincidental that the very same day that the union went up to argue this, that all of the flights had to be canceled with Southwest. So, according to PennLive.com, quote, the airline Southwest canceled more than 1,000 flights, or 28% of its schedule, as of 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, according to flight tracker FlightAware. That was the highest rate by far of the U.S. major airlines. Those issues triggered delays and next in line were Allegiant and Spirit, which had respectively canceled only 5 and 4% of their flights on Sunday. So compare 4 and 5% to 28%. And what's really, really interesting about the story is that when Southwest was confronted about, the reason as to why they canceled almost half of their flights, Southwest said in an emailed statement that it had, quote, experienced weather challenges in its Florida airports at the beginning of the weekend, which were compounded by unexpected air traffic control issues in the same region, end quote. So they're arguing that, there were some weather conditions and that's why we had to cancel all these flights. Oh, and also there was some air traffic control mess up, so we had to cancel 30% of our flights. Well, the only problem with that is, as I just read, other U.S. airlines such as Allegiant and Spirit, who were next in line for the most cancellations, only had 5 and 4% of their flights canceled, not 28. So this just reasoning doesn't really make too much sense whenever they're talking about the weather. And also, what's really, really intriguing is that when they state that there was air traffic control issues, the actual air traffic controllers actually responded to Southwest saying, we had no problems at all over the weekend. What are you talking about? I think this was happening on Twitter or in some article that was published, but air traffic control members were repudiating this argument. They were saying, no, we had no problems at all. What are you saying? So whenever you have an argument based on weather conditions not working out, and that being kind of denied by the fact that other airlines are not canceling their flights at the same rate, and then when you have the other argument that there's air traffic control misunderstandings, but then that's repudiated by the air traffic controllers themselves, it really makes you wonder, why did Southwest have to cancel almost 30% of its flights over the weekend, which is more than 1,000 of them? Well, it would seem really coincidental that when the union argued that the Biden vaccine mandate was unconstitutional, and at the very same time, the flights just had to be canceled. It seems like almost that, some of the employees didn't show up for work or were let go because of their non-compliance with this mandate. But that is just my opinion and opinions of a lot of people in the U.S. right now. But with that being said, what could this mandate or what could these mandates lead to if they're leading to cancellations of 30% of Southwest Airlines flights? I don't know, but it's scary, and I think it's something worthy to think about. So with that being said, I am fried. That's why I can barely speak. Thank you for watching another episode of Pep Talk, and there's a lot more to come, I promise. And with that being said, I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.